When I thought of this theme today, what was I scared of? That song jumped into my consciousness. I will fear no more. It sounds easy. I will fear no more. But when we look at the example of Jesus in Matthew, in the Garden of Gethsemane, we see that Jesus is a wonderful example to us who choose to follow him, that even in the midst of faithful lives, fear does occur. When I think about unpacking fear in our culture today, modern words come from Scott Stable. These words kind of set an undertone for our discussion today. He said, I look around and see so much fear. People getting more and more comfortable with their hate, more at ease being mean, more united in their separation. And I think, no, not me. I will not get lost in this fearful world. I will continue to be brave and kind. I will speak for real unity. And no matter what, I will never, and I say never, stop loving. And then I went, wow, fear overcome by love, fear overcome by faith. As we unpack this story of Jesus in the garden, the story that Dr. Seuss shares with us takes on a deeper meaning, a deeper relevance, according to its commentator, James Kemp. When we look at this story, the picture of the little creature and the empty pants come to mind. For we're reminded that this creature doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an actual description as to what it is. It's just a creature. And so it is one of God's unique creations. And then it encounters these pants. Now, in this picture, it's green. In some pictures, it's yellow. But these empty pants, as I think about the significance or the possible symbolism between those two, I see us as the creature, us as one who is on our life journey, just strolling through life, looking for a little pleasure, a little enjoyment, a little peace. And then we encounter these empty pants. We encounter these pants that seem to have nothing inside of them, nothing propelling them, but yet they move. How many times in our life have we been about our journeys and encountered fears, things that we never thought about, situations that we never contemplated? We meet them on the road and we are afraid because they are different. They impose a different reality or a possible way of being for us, and we want to go the other way. We want to be like that creature running away. But God calls us back. And even though we don't want to, we are on the path, as Gina shared the story, and we can't get away. And we begin to react in emotional ways. The creature, in the midst of his distraught emotions, heard the pants, the empty pants, yelling and screaming as well. And then it was able to compose itself, and somehow, it doesn't tell us, they became friends. They walked together, and they were able to experience joy and hope and some sense of mystery together. I think about that in our lives as we think about the things that we are scared of. When we encountered them, when we face them head on, they become something that we can befriend and work with. They are not things for us to run away from, but honestly, at times, Those things, those events, those people, those situations that we were afraid of become energy. They become the opportunity for us to have joy. As the songwriter once said, unspeakable joy. This morning, I think about what I was afraid of in my life, and I say, yeah, some of those things were real. But yet, when I faced them, I was able to move to heights that I could not have imagined. When I think about our American culture today, I think about what some of the commentators have written about the top fears of Americans today. When I looked in a magazine, I saw that the fear among teens can be filtered through the thoughts of a magazine that was published on May 24th this year. This publication was called Parentology. Now, I never heard of Parentology, but you know, when you Google things, all kind of things come up. And so in Parentology, it talked about teens' fears, and some of them were like this. Peer pressure, well, that's not new, but it's still at the top of the list. Fear of sexual activity or encounter before one is ready in multiple ways. That's not new as well. Fear of failure, but again, that doesn't seem to be new, but it's still there that they are struggling with the fear of failure. Fear of climate change. Again, that's something that's been around a minute, but yet it becomes more real for us every day as those glaciers melt in different parts of the northern or southern hemisphere. Fear of growing up, that's again not a new one, but yet it still creates great anxiety amongst our teens. Fear of poverty. Now some would say again, not new. People who have been in poverty have had fear for many years. But what is new is that teens that are in situations of affluence and even stability have this fear, possibly because of the great shifts in American society, whether it's corporations downsizing or right-sizing, and the talk and discussion amongst their parents and amongst the broader population of instability. Fear of the loss of identity. Now, we all look forward to the day when we can make our own decisions and decide how we would dress and how we would speak and how we would act. And our parents couldn't tell us what to do. But yet there's great fear in discerning your identity. Who has God created me? What has God created me to do and be? The struggle of identity becomes so real inside and outside of the church. For our young people, will they be accepted for who they are? Will they continue to be loved as they redefine and reassess their identities? Fear of safety. Now, I expected this fear to be at the top of the list amongst teens in a generation that was born into a generation where they had to do safety drills on shooting operations in schools and safety drills where we have a plan for safety in our very church setting. But yet it's down in the list, but it's still there. And the fear of embarrassment. Again, who amongst us has not dealt with, experienced, or faced this fear of doing something that would cause one to be ostracized and to be made fun of? But this fear is real. The fear among American adults, viewed in a graph that we were able to have, kind of highlights that fear for me. Now, I know you can't read all those little words, but as you look at those bar graphs, we see things amongst our adults like the fear of a corrupt government. Imagine that, corruption in government. Yes, that is at the top. The fear of pollution of oceans and rivers and lakes. The fear of not having enough money for the future. Again, not new, but still there. The fear of having a loved one become seriously ill in all contexts. The fear of having a loved one dying. The fear of air pollution, which again is still, unfortunately, a real fear. The expectation or the extinction of plant life and animal species as we struggle with our human growth and expansion and the outcomes of climate change. Global warming and climate change. High medical bills. Again, it seems like those things are not unusual, but yet they are real amongst us today. I think as we think about that creature in those empty pants, we can put one or two of those fears inside of those empty pants, and we can meet them on a path and not only develop coping mechanisms, but we can embrace them with a calmness and assurance that comes from in the midst of prayer. Faith overcoming fear. If someone were to say, Brad, what was it all about today? I hope that the two words you would tell them was faith overcoming fear. Faith and fear. Fear does not have the last word. So as I come to a close this morning, I'd like us to remember that little creature, that cute little cuddly creature, as a result of facing its fears, not only got its life back, but it also gained a new friend. Don't keep running away, but walk hand in hand, side by side with your fears, whether they are an empty pair of pants or something else in life. Embrace it. I also hope that you are inspired, as I was, by the example that Jesus set for us at a moment of crisis. I think that was eye-opening for me. Even Jesus had times of crisis. So my crises are not new. But at that moment of crisis, he set the example for us that we should embrace God with prayer. And that prayer is one of those things that will help us mediate and navigate the struggles, the fears, and what seem to be roadblocks of life. God is with us. I pray that when you think about what you're scared of, you won't just leave it blank. You'll say, but whatever it was, I met that fear. I met that uncertainty. I met that disappointment. I met that discouragement with prayer and with God. Amen.